We're live.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're live, guys. Okay. So, hey guys, gals, and everyone in between. I'm your host, Noah, and welcome to the Edge of Disclosure, where we delve into the news, media, and rumors of all things disclosure with you, and we can talk about the things that go bump in the night, that closer to the facts that they don't want you to know. Hey, Xander, why don't we tell everyone a bit about yourself, how you came to be here, and why you wound up having an interest in this.
Well, ufology is a bit of a passion of mine. Like, it's not a hobby really, or like something I get too deep into. But like, I followed Secure Team 10 on YouTube for a while, and eventually he had a Discord server, and that's where I actually met you, Mr. Noah. And I met Rob here. We'll get to him in a minute. In another community that he's no longer part of, thankfully for the both of us. And Sohan, I've known him, from my half brother. Like, he's a friend of the families and whatnot. But anyway, that's about it. For me, like, involving my involvement. Like, I'm just kind of here, like here to listen, here to learn. So.
Yeah. So, that's our first guest. That was Xander. Okay, so. Why don't we go on to Rob? Rob, you've been sharing some interesting details with us pre-show, and I think that it's very interesting for us to go over with them, because some of the things you told us regarding disclosure were actually really interesting, and you seem to know what you're talking about. So let's just go over what brought you here today, and what got you what it is you know, and how you became to know about these things, if you're willing, and even introduce yourself as well, so I can have a few questions for you afterward.
I'm a infantry marine veteran and a structural engineer by trade. Retired medically from ongoing permanent injuries, so physically a little too damaged to do a lot of the things I used to be able to. So I've occupied my time in recent years staying occupied with research and investigation into things that interest me, and one of those is physics and anti-gravity and peripherals with that. So that led me into the ancient history community, where I recognized that megaliths were being built with technology that isn't in our known inventory of history, which incensed me to understand that they're probably using some kind of quantum field technologies, which then led me into ufology, of recognizing that present day UFOs are exhibiting the kind of technology and power source that would have had to be in antiquity to do what they're doing now. So I fell into that, and I met some interesting people along the way that I became friends with, and got pulled in, met some veterans that were in very high positions in the community, and I've learned a great deal through that. It's been a very interesting.
Thank you for the introduction, and you said infantry marine?
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
What was it like? Yeah, thank you for your service. Yeah. What was it like being an infantry marine? We can get into that a little bit first.
One thing about Marines, they're hardcore, motivated, tenacious, and it's just very. I didn't get to finish my enlistment because of injuries, but.
Injuries? So was that a reason for discharge?
Yeah, training. And,
okay, so you were rightfully discharged, not as a Section 8 or whatever.
No, I had physical injuries. You can't be a Marine. So
well, let's continue on.
Right.
We have a lot of disclosure to talk about. So, what about Sohan here?
Yeah, I didn't introduce you, Sohan. Are you here? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, hey, I'm Sohan. I am new to this. I'm learning as much as I can, when I can.
Always good. So I wanted to go on about the megaliths and the ancient history that we were talking about just then, and what exactly even is the ancient history? I know you said megaliths. Is that like a glyph?
Now, megalith is a very large cut block. It's a generalized term for monoliths or megaliths, very large blocks.
I used monolith. I apologize. I
Well, a monolith is a singular block. And so a monolith would be like the statues of Memnon or something of that nature that's carved out of one piece of stone. Megaliths are multiple cut blocks in place that are too large for.
So Stonehenge basically is a megalith.
Yes, yeah, but it doesn't have
Or the Georgia stones, Georgia guide stones.
Well, those are modern technology of construction. I'm talking ancient. When they were saying that we were using diorite, pounding stones, and copper chisels that they built, like Baalbek with 1,200-ton Trilthon stones that are 40 feet above grade, on top of 400-ton courses, would fit with perfect precision where you can't even get a credit card between them today. That's universal around the planet on ancient megalithic structures, and there's probably 4 different epochs at least of megalithic construction that are unique in their designs, and this is evidenced at the Parthenon in Greece, where there's each different generation of megalithic style, one built on top of the other. That's how we know what order they're in of succession, that they were present, and it appears that each epoch was here and gone, and then another one showed up and built over the last, and this seems to be a repetitive cycle.
That's interesting. I can see a lot of megaliths that Xander is showing us on stream right here. I didn't even know qualified as megaliths. For example, the Easter Island heads.
Yeah, the Moai statues, and there are megalithic blocks and walls there too that most people aren't aware of, and the Rongo script that nobody knows. It's a language isolate.
It feels like these megaliths have been placed here a long time ago by something.
Yeah.
We don't know how a lot of these things got here.
I call it paleo contact because the normal historical record of, say, that we came out of Mesopotamia 6,000 years ago and then evolved from there, and those societies started sooner. Well, that's not quite true, because when they found Göbekli Tepe, it ran the clock back to 13,000, about 12,000 years ago, right at the end or middle of the Younger Dryas period, when we submerged back into the Ice Age temporarily for 1,200 years. That was 13,000 years ago, and most people think that that's where civilization started. It was the first domestication of grains and livestock. No, that was the echoes of a previous civilization. That's the last remnants. There are multiple sites in Turkey now they're finding that there are some that are older than Göbekli Tepe, even. And just large.
No, I was going to say, so can we talk about the ancient history? Because there seems to be a missing chapter in our history.
Yeah.
According to this.
Yeah, because
logic.
What they say with it starting in Sumar about 6,000 years ago isn't accurate. Because, like I said, they go back to Göbekli Tepe, and they had high technology to make those T-pillars. Some of those are 30, 40 tons. There was precision machine cut work on those and on megaliths that I found, and this is what influenced me to this in my pursuit. I'm an engineer by trade, a structural engineer and design. I know what kind of tools it requires to make certain cuts in certain projects and how to move them and everything else. I fabricated and drafted and built and programmed. I've done it all. So I recognize that you can't do this with the inventory that they claim to have had at the time of primitive pounding stones and diorite, balls and copper chisels. Our ancestors that were known to us were very creative, and I'm not taking that away from the Egyptians or anybody else. I don't want to appropriate their heritage and attribute it to someone that we don't know, but there had to be a paleo contact in each one of these societies around the world that came in that had high technology and set themselves up in some instances as little g gods among men. And we have evidence of this in the historical narrative that goes back, of all known history, mostly between from about 7,000 years ago forward, that there's strong evidence of it. But the narratives of gods among men that's in the Sumerian text, and the Old Testament, and the Vedics, all that came to an end about 3000 BC with what looks like the last flood. And then we were set back to primitive civilization again, and there wasn't any more gods among men and high technology and such that was overt in our inventory anymore. We started out as essentially a generic cave-dwelling society that emerged out and went into agriculture and pre-industrial age and all that. And then just in the last 200 years, we suddenly become technologically advanced, and humanity,
right, even more so in the last 10.
Yeah, we've been around at least 300,000 years, and that's conservative. I mean, being very conservative with this. But why, in 300,000 years, in less than 1% of that time, have we just suddenly became technologically advanced? That is not natural, in my opinion.
That's an interesting take. So I wanted to go a bit more in depth before we hit our next bullet point, but like I want to see just if what exactly it is that there is to know, or what you know, or that you say that you understand about our ancient history. Because right now I'm getting the vibe that it's just wrong. Because everyone on Twitter and UFO Twitter is saying, or UFO X now is saying, that our history has become incomplete.
Yeah, and in some instances, intentionally manipulated to keep us from learning the truth. As the truth comes out, just like when Galileo and them were trying to advance that the Earth was not flat and round, you get the most pressure right before the fundamental change, the paradigm shift comes. So they were, each time, and like the universe doesn't rotate around the Earth. We orbit around the sun.
Right.
So each
Right.
time we face a paradigm shift like that, the staunch opponents that want to keep the status quo, some of them become extremely hostile to that change for whatever reason, be it dogma, religion, control, the narrative, politics,
It
whatever.
reminds me of a line from the first Men in Black. Imagine what you'll know tomorrow, when he says it on the park bench scene to
Mhm.
Agent J.
That is a really
Yep.
good scene. That's an eye-opening scene.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we
back
should actually
then they
pull it up.
knew yada
Yeah.
yada. Then they knew yada yada. Today you
Mhm.
knew yada yada. Like
Imagine what you'll know tomorrow.
the only
Yeah.
thing we really know is that we don't know shit. Pardon my language. So
Well,
Yeah, we're being told
yes.
it's completely inept and some of this is incomplete, and there are a lot of honest mistakes. But where I have contention is that when you advance solid empirical evidence that's to the contrary of the narrative that they are ascribing as fact, when you prove that that asserted fact is wrong, that they don't have any. I found out that the mainstream academia, the majority of the way that they come up with what they consider as fact, it's by consensus, not evidence. And that really burned my biscuits when I found that out. So I started
I'm locked in
pursuing.
there. What do you mean? Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was a bit distracted. My roommates. Can you repeat what you just said? Because I was totally out there for a minute.
I was saying that the academics,
The last part. The very last part.
well, they don't. They what they advance as fact in a lot of instances wasn't determined by empirical evidence. It was determined by consensus of academics getting together, looking at the evidence, and sorting through and deciding what's most reasonable and plausible, or whatever. And they decide, okay, this is what we're gonna claim as the true narrative, and that's canon, and that's it. And then they never diverge from that ever. Even when we present with empirical evidence that proves otherwise, it takes a lot of pressure to get them to change. Just like we're seeing now with in the UFO community, we're proving that a non-human intelligence exists. And what I'm trying to do is tie ancient history of paleo contact with contemporary, because they are directly connected. And some of what we're experiencing now has always been here, at least older than humanity. And that's significant, and people need to know the truth. So
I still want to know where the 300,000 year thing comes from. Where does that? How do we know it's been that long specifically?
They find hand tools, fires, campfires they can carbon date. There are caves like Israel.
So my big question is, why the cover up? Why the lie? And why now? Why do we need to know now?
That's a good question. Part of it is that something is taking place since 1945 or so, when they first sparked off the first nuclear detonation.
Right.
Ever since then, before that, we had like Fey people, airships that look like ocean-going wooden craft, but flying through the air. Then you start with the new age of flying saucers and such that entered the zeitgeist of humanity in our sci-fi and all that. Seems to be pushed into our collective consciousness. that there are a new,
But there's these skills, drink pouches.
and Jacques Vallée advances this, that it could be all the same art, all the same origin of systems within systems, that we're seeing manifestations of all these different, supposedly separate
Yeah. Okay.
senses,
So.
but they could all be the
Like,
same. They could all be the same wizard behind the curtain that's
right. It could
propagating
be. It
all
very
of
well
this.
could be.
Yeah, we don't know, but the fact remains there is something that is not human or earlier humans, and a combination of the both, that is interacting with us in much more increasing rate and volume and proximity that people are trying to keep suppressed. And that, we should have had this conversation in the 60s with the Church Commission, things like that. But the Air Force, CIA, they suppressed this for 75 years now. Lying to the American people, lying to humanity.
Okay, but who's the one behind the lie? Is my big question. Where did that start? When did that start? Where did it come from?
Well, I mean, you can look at, like, throughout all of history, like, governments have always been lying to its underlings for any reason, all throughout all of time. Like, if there's something you can deprive, those beneath you of, then why not do it? Like, that's how, these people think. Like, they're so disconnected from actual humanity that they just do things like, just looking at, like, a game board and all that stuff. But, like, speaking about all this and aliens and all that stuff, like, I want to direct viewers' attention to the last the Kick Peanuts we did, because we spoke about, like, the Anunnaki and all sorts of things, like, what's his face, Rusty, that's his name. There's too many R's. We have Rob, we have Rusty, we have Robmaster. We have too many R people.
A lot of R's.
Yeah.
A lot of R's.
Yeah. But no, I guess we gotta roll with it. Rolling the R's. Anyway, no, like, we were talking about, like, humanity actually came from a different world that got destroyed by some kind of black hole bomb during some kind of crazy interstellar war, and that planet now is the asteroid belt between Earth and Mars. And he backed up that fact with, like, humans are the only species on the planet, that when we're born, we're not walking within minutes. We also suffer chronic back pains, joint problems, sunburns, and all that stuff, because we are not a species that was native to this planet. We came here. So, like, if we had technology to jump planets like that, tying this in, last show of the Kick Peanut to today's episode of what Rob is talking about, all the ancient civilizations and stuff, that could be like the ruins of those people who traveled here from another world, and then Mars got screwed up. And if anybody who watches Joe Rogan, I know he used to be a comedian and stuff. Like, I'm not talking about his current podcast and all that stuff, but back when he was doing stand up, he had this whole thing, because all it takes really is like 1, 2, maybe 3 generations at most to completely lose things. Like, so how I'm just gonna look up the video real quick and post it to the underbar for later. But actually, do you mind if I play it real quick?
My roommate wants to tell you what he thinks.
What? Oh, go for it.
Joking. Okay, so my roommate has a sense of humor, but
Oh.
yeah, it sounds like that. I actually didn't know Joe Rogan was a comedian beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. I'm looking at a lot of interesting quotes right now on UFOquotes.com. If you can pull that up, I actually. Here, I'll send it to you. UFO Quotes is, I was showing you earlier today, and they don't have David Grush on here, which I find interesting. Here, this is the one.
Yeah, this is the video specifically I'm thinking about here.
Yeah,
it's 10 minutes long, so I'm not going to play it.
Yeah,
but,
you can leave it in the description.
Yeah.
Yourself. But yeah, I really do think that there's definitely a, what's the word? There's a sort of cover-up that's been happening, and I don't even know if it's a humans doing the cover-up, because, like, there have been people that have come to the consensus on UFO Twitter, or X, that are saying, yes, we are being hit, something is being hidden. It is an intentional drip feed, and it is coming out very slowly over the years, but now it's starting to speed up a little bit. So like,
Yeah.
what's the big hurry? There's like it's like I've been saying, you've been saying, there's a hurry for some reason. They're in a hurry to release the disclosure. Like,
there's
you
a
don't know
quick
why.
something is escalating.
It could
seems
be
like
escalating
there was-
between us and other extraterrestrials, or
Well,
not.
there's multiple things in play because a lot of people think that there's just one other, for instance, if they think that there's just gray aliens and they come from somewhere else. That's a very simplistic and incorrect view.
There's also that idea of the Nordics. That's another one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, I was using that as an example. That a lot of people think that there's only one other, that there's one type of alien and they didn't come from here. Well, that's not true.
A lot of the
shows that we are occupied and they're from other places and other dimensions even.
See, that's what I was going to say. There is non-human intelligences. That's the new word for extraterrestrial. That's the new word that we're coming out with. Like, it's not just extra, it's just something that is intelligent that is not a human.
No,
it might not be.
We don't know.
If I may interject here, you start going into that category, and maybe it's not aliens, maybe it's angels, maybe it's demons, maybe it's beings from another dimension, maybe it's time travelers.
Maybe they're from Earth.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe the time traveler, there's a million and one things that it could be, and when they start coming up with these vague, I don't think anagrams is the right word, but
accusations,
allegations. No, but changing it from UFO to UAP, changing it from alien to non-human entity, these euphemistic and changing the words to more vaguely, like lawyer speak.
I think Rob wants to say something. To be honest, yeah.
The acronyms, and part of it is to try and outpace the stigma that UFO brings and the giggle factor of aliens and little green men that connotates. We try to move this into a scientific and academic discussion, bringing scientists on board. But the Air Force and CIA created a program 75 years ago and running that is well documented that exists of disinformation for any credible information that comes forward is discounted by this apparatus, and it's alive and well, and it's taking a lot of effort to break through that stigma and get the truth out and get academics on this and scientists that we need, instead of keeping this contained in these dark silos. And some of them are unethical and illegal, frankly, including a crash retrieval program that doesn't have appropriate oversight, if any at all. And there's been evidence recently advanced that they've even used murder to keep this suppressed, and everything in between, with death threats that's well documented in the news that Elizondo, David Grush, and many others have received death threats and severe reprisals and intimidation for getting to speak up. Yeah, he was the '80s version of them. So each year, and it started with Kehoe, and in their mid 40s or early 50s, it came forward. It was a high-ranking officer. Even the guy from Project Blue Book, the scientist, eventually became a believer and wanted to try and set the record straight, but nobody would listen to him after that.
Okay, I apologize if I missed anything. My internet just went out for a minute, so I'm reconnected. The stream is reconnected now, but it was out for 30 seconds.
Oh, no worries, man. We got it over here. So.
Yeah, it's the big bag 1% trying to put me down. I'm kidding.
Huh. Now they're targeting you.
But yeah, that's the joke, or maybe I don't know. Yeah, so it looks like this is what we think of our history, but I want to go into a little bit more about evidence. We seem to be guided by a slow drip feed of information of some kind, of some goal. What evidence do we even have to support the claims that we are being visited by NHIs and UAPs, like the Las Vegas incident or the one in Peru that's been happening for 2 days?
Yeah, we have to be careful of those because
can we really just talk about incidents that have happened?
Yeah,
there's a million and one things I could quote off the subreddit, which I moderate now. It's called UFO.
Speaking about incidents, what about that one where the entire sky lights up? That's happened a couple times.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I thought it was getting dark, but I saw that they were talking about it changing color. I saw that one. Did
Yeah,
you see
no,
that?
it changed color. No, it was dark, and then all of a sudden it just lit up, like almost
Yeah, it
like,
was like
out of the Truman
a
Show.
screen.
Somebody just turned the sun
No,
on.
really, it's like a screen instead of a real sky. It was like a screen.
It's wild.
I saw that. I showed that to you. Can you pull it
Yeah.
up?
I'm gonna try to see if I can find it.
Okay, because I'm recording over the Discord window, so I can see it on the stream.
Yeah.
And
Sorry,
I got
what
UFO
was
P on the
Rob
left.
saying though?
Yeah, Rob, go on.
We need to be careful which cases that we try to establish as factual before we prematurely, because there are a lot of authentic cases out there, but there are inauthentic by design to try and discount credibility across the board.
For just a second, I want to speak again. Xander, it was a YouTube short video. It was a short.
Oh.
So all right, go on. Oh wow.
That's
Wow. That
Okay.
doesn't look good. That's weird. Okay. Anyway, go on what you're saying again, Rob. I just wanted to make sure he knew what I was looking for.
Well, there's a lot of decent cases out there. The one in Peru is too fresh to get a good feel of its authenticity. One camp is saying that there are minors dressed as aliens to take advantage of the stigma that's down there and the belief in UFOs and aliens, which it's well founded that they have belief in that, because that's a very well established hotspot by the military.
Right. It's like I said. There's evidence of something, but what is it?
You can look at James Fox with his new documentary from. That is one you can really drill down on.
I think my audio just died. Heck. What? I can't hear you. 1 second. Oh crap! My audio just died. Oh, it's back. It's back.
Oh, that's not good.
That was strange. Okay. So
I got a call. Hang on.
Oh. Well,
All right.
Go ahead.
Xander, I mean,
Yes.
like, we have been fed a slow drip feed for like however, I don't know how long, but
We have been. Well,
regarding
like,
the-
see, we're talking about drip feed, and then I just remembered something, and I don't remember who it was who told me about this, but they told me about there's this one interview where they were there's one video where they're interviewing Werner von Braun, the Nazi rocket scientist who developed the V1, the V2, and then eventually through Operation Paperclip. This guy has had people killed. He was like a legit, bona fide Nazi. He believed in the cause. Like, he was not just, oh, he's a German scientist during the Nazi era. He's a Nazi scientist. No, he actually did things. And so he was not a good guy.
It makes me really
please
think
let me finish
about
talking. So those people are not really known for their sense of humor or for any form of comedy. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is during this interview, the interviewer asked von Braun, how did you guys get this technology? You're developing jets, you're developing the rocket technology, you're doing all this stuff. You're decades ahead of us. How are you doing this? And then he just pointed up. He said they helped us. So,
Okay,
I'm
so
going to
that
take
makes me
that
think
as
a lot of
evidence that the Nazis were being aided by the aliens,
They got
and
seeded,
we
I
were
think,
probably being
from,
aided. We were probably being aided by other aliens because there's this constant back and forth. If you look throughout religious history and other history
Proxy
and
war.
mythology and various other theologies, there's a war over our planet. That's
We're in a proxy war.
yeah. And
kind of like the Ukraine thing also.
well,
proxy war.
our entire planet is essentially Ukraine
Yes,
right now.
it's the proxy. Yeah, it's the one thing.
Well, no, so they're using us to fight on behalf of I believe maybe China and Russia are being controlled by one type of alien, and then us and all this big. I don't know, but certainly
This
during
reminds
World War
me
II, the aliens probably were aiding the Nazis, and we were probably getting our own aid as well, because right after World War II, as Rob said earlier, ever since 1945, when Oppenheimer blew the bomb, which, by the way, go watch Oppenheimer. It is a good movie.
Great movie. I haven't seen it yet, but it is supposed to be great.
I would recommend if you can go see it in IMAX. But anyway, but once that happened, then for sure something is paying attention to us, and in the very least, they contacted our highest of highest, people in control of stuff, and it's, as you said, the drip feed of everything, for example, that Nothing Burger we got a couple years ago. You know, that was.
Oh yeah, he's referring to the June 25th OD&I report.
Yeah, what was it, like 9 pages long or something?
Of just... 9 pages, but that was the unclassified 9 pages that everyone else would see. The intelligence community has a classified version that's like 400 pages, I think.
Huh. All right.
I don't know. I thought that was the number. I could be completely incorrect, but I also... That reminds me of two things. The first one is that it reminds me of, what's his name? George Van Tassel. F equals 1/T. Remember that? Very old thing that happened in the 20th century. But also the second thing it makes me think about is when you were talking about we're proxying our proxy war and our planet is the goal or whatever. It makes me think about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because it makes me think about the fact that in the book, the world, the Earth was the supercomputer to calculate the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. That's how it was in the book.
Guys, can I log out for a minute and get back with you?
All right.
Yes, you may.
I'll hopefully be back.
All right.
Okay.
So
yeah, like that's how it was in the book. So I think. But it makes me think that there's something to Earth about it. About to Earth. Like there's an importance of our planet. Maybe it's fresh water, or maybe it's salt water. I don't know.
And you were talking about like the attacks on the Peru and stuff. Like getting back to the script here. Like I remember that you asked Rob that as a question. But the whole Las Vegas Peru thing. I'm gonna post this. This video is already in the underbar of the description, but it will shift post show. Because I like to have the links, pertaining to the time we talk about it, so everything's not all jumbled mess. And good luck finding what you're trying to find in the underbar. I try to make it easy for people. There is apparently some alien attack in Peru, and the descriptions match what happened in Vegas, like with the 10-foot tall gray aliens, skinny.
They said it was 8 to 10, but in Peru they were somehow 7 to 8 feet.
Yeah. Well, maybe there can be a wide variety of height disparities. I don't know. Like humans, we can be between 2 foot to 10 feet. Like like pick a size, guys. Come on. So, but yeah, I think things are happening. But at the same time, and I've made this clear with you multiple times, and I'm not saying I for sure believe this, but with how everything else is going geopolitically, socioeconomically, the entire world is going crazy. This just sets the stage for a perfect Operation Bluebeam,
Oh yeah,
and
it does.
With everything happening, all of a sudden, everybody's paying attention to aliens. All of a sudden, it's just like, I may be wrong, but the chips are stacking in the perfect spot. So what else can I think? But yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
I have to go back and I have to find something. Hang on.
Yeah.
That I was looking at before. It's that page on the Rational Wiki about Bluebeam. But I also have another couple that I'd like to put out there and just put on this description.
Well, why don't we move on up to the third question, because we have 3 more questions in 18 minutes.
And then I'd like to get into the Bluebeam thing after that. So yes.
Oh yeah. Are you gonna ask the question?
I'm also looking at disclosure on Twitter here.
Okay.
Now I'm back on it. Okay. So the third point I wanted to get at was potential technological applications of reverse engineered UFOs or reverse engineering the UFOs. Like what's possible? What's really possible? The research paper on the LK99, I wrote this down. The LK99 further cites the UFO patents from the ArcSiv preprint server. So they're really talking about
question. And I think
they're literally, what are the applications we can make from learning how to use this tech? What we don't even know we can do with it yet.
I mean, that's a really good question. And if Rob doesn't come back in time, I'd like to revisit that. Oh, hey, speak of the devil, he may appear. Rob, just in time.
He may appear. Like we were just talking about the applications of UFOs or technology that's in the UFOs, reverse engineered.
Yeah, repeat the question for him, please, because this is a Rob question. So
this is a Rob question. Okay, so potential technological.
I can barely hear you guys. I don't know why.
Turn us up.
Pump up the jam. Pump it.
I was hearing you fine last time, but I popped back in. I'm not hearing so well.
You hear me now? Okay.
Testing?
Yeah, barely.
All I know is
why don't you restart the application or something?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and restart the. Yeah. So there's a. What
Alright,
is
can you
the?
hear us
Do you
now?
hear us? Do you hear? Do you hear us? Do you hear us?
Oh, I can barely hear you, but it'll
Go
work.
into settings. You
Turn
should
it
be
up,
able
turn
to
it
turn
up.
us up if you. Because sometimes settings, like, it's weird. It's not just Discord, but like every program, sometimes settings go weird, and something
We were
changes.
about
Yeah.
to. Yeah, we were about to cover potential technological applications of reverse engineered UFOs and UAPs and what we can learn to do with them. Which I think is a question for you, Rob.
Well, he can't hear you. He's trying to adjust his volume, Noah.
No, I can hear, but
Oh.
barely.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Should turn this up. Just right click on us
Well-
or something if you're at your computer.
Well, it's on. It's got to be on my end because I heard perfectly before.
Yeah,
change
no,
your,
that's
oh,
why
change your output setting. It probably changed.
Yeah, like I
In
know that.
Discord, you might have changed outputs somehow.
But, okay.
You know how to access your settings on Discord, Rob?
Should.
Are you on
In
the
the
phone
gear,
or the
little
computer?
cogwheel next to the deafen button.
Are you on the phone or computer?
I'm on my cell phone.
All right,
Oh.
so let me check this out here. On the phone.
We're having technical difficulties now.
Yeah. So let's see here. So you open up your Discord. You swipe to the. You swipe to the. Like you swipe right,
Yeah.
like so from left to right you swipe, and then.
Accounts, devices, voice.
I'm trying to figure this out. How do I find settings? Hold on. I don't know how to find settings on Discord. Huh. Oh, dang.
Just see it. You will see it come back to Rob, but I'd like to.
All right, yeah,
continue
so,
on.
yeah, getting back on track here, like...
You actually might have the speakerphone turned off.
Oh, that might be as well. But anyway, and this is why I said this is a perfect Rob question, is because
Yeah, I
there's a
know.
lot of evidence out there suggesting that, like, our stealth technology and some of these, like flying wing or super, like classified top secret projects and stuff throughout the times. Like the Blackbird and whatnot. A lot of these got confused for UFOs, and like later on it's like, oh no,
Yeah,
it was
the
just this,
U-2
it was
planes.
just that. Can you hear us now better, Rob?
Yeah, the U-2 spy planes were mistaken for UFOs often as well.
Well, anyway, now
But there are instances of legitimate UFOs that are not, like they found with the June 25th, 2021 congressional report of 144 cases, 143 were left unexplained in Category 5 of other, which means they ruled out all known explanations of air trash, black projects, all that stuff. At the end of all that, there were
government stuff.
143 left unknown.
Okay, I'm actually looking at a picture that I just tagged AO in. It's about exactly at the same time as Maui is completely on fire, and that was an island on the Hawaiian Islands. But the astronomers say that a Chinese satellite has been caught on video beaming down green lasers over the Hawaiian Islands, exactly
Yeah.
at the same time as there are fires there.
So do you
I don't know
think
if
that
it's actually even
China
Chinese.
started the fires? I mean, like,
No,
I saw a video
I don't know
earlier
if it's even
today
China.
about weaponized lasers. There we have actual
I don't really know if
lasers
it's
that
China.
I heard rumors that instance was China,
Yeah.
but there are other instances that aren't explained by
But to
any
finish what I was
conventional
saying, like I saw a video earlier today about weaponized lasers. Like we have, actually, let me look it up on in my history here real quick. Oops, I did not want to do that. But they now have perfected the technology of lasers to a point where, like, it's not just like to pop a balloon or anything like that. It actually they blew up a remote controlled boat. So if we have that, what China might have that as well. And did they set alight
Definitely do. They're richer than
Maui? That's here we go.
I still think that it's not China. It's not China. Yeah, I think that's
No,
a
I'm
rumor.
just-
That's
well,
just
the one
my gut
over
tells- my gut tells me
Hawaii,
that's a
it
cover
may be
story.
another instance of disinformation trying to make it
Yes.
appear as China, but it may not be.
I believe he's right about that. At least in some way. I can include the picture in the actual
Because see, that's the problem we have here, is that every time we have an authentic case, out trots the CIA and factions in the Air Force, and they throw mud on it and discount it with whatever means they can, do whatever tactics they can to discount it, so no one, the layman out here like us, can't get a firm grasp on which is authentic and which isn't. But the fact remains, there is a legitimate non-human intelligences in contact with humanity that is increasing, that our government has and bodies in their inventory, and they have an active crash retrieval program. That's been established. So
the crash retrieval program wasn't that paperclip? No, this is new actually.
Yeah,
I'm not much of an expert. I just do a little
ongoing.
research.
But yeah, and Grush and many others testified to the.
David Grush is literally a hero right now.
Yeah, him and Carl Nell and Lou Elizondo started this fire in 2017, along with Christopher Miller and others, and they lit this torch up. Advanced the ball with the first, with the 3 short videos that were smuggled out. Well, not smuggled. They were cleared and released. And
David Grush might be a hero for the rest of this.
Yeah, and he said that he's got 40 he represents that have already filed testimony to the Inspector General and to Congress.
Have you seen that they're trying to discredit him by saying that he's mentally unwell or whatever, and they link?
Yeah, it's completely disgusting what that guy's done. I did some research on that guy, Ken, with the Intercept, and he's a mouthpiece for factions within the intelligence community that are anti-disclosure. He even admitted after that article that he was fed the information on where to find the information on David Grush, of him having 2 instances of drunk and disorderly where he was at home and he has PTSD, which is very common.
Who was it? I actually don't even know who was it.
Well, he had 2 instances of that. Ken admitted, the author of that article, that he was fed the information on where to file a FOIA to get that information that David Grush was told was sealed, and then published it and made it look like he's a drunken alcoholic, which is not the case. He had PTSD issues. He got it.
That's right. They said PTSD. They were talking about
it. Yeah, and alcohol, self-medicating is a symptom, not the illness. He recognized that, got the help he needed. The Intelligence Review Board for security clearances cleared him for fit for duty, and then you come along, this little mouthpiece reporter that's a lapdog for the anti-disclosure, and trots out that David is a raging alcoholic.
But does he seem like one? Because I don't think he does. No, of course not.
So he's got a campaign of terror and disinformation, obviously, to discredit him, which has incensed not only people in the government and intelligence community that work on these programs, but also veterans in general, because being able to access veterans' records like this,
that's not legal. I think
especially if you have an
released his documents.
If you have a security clearance, they should be sealed, because this leaves them open for exploitation, and you can't have that.
And they released a sealed document. It wasn't legal. It was his medical records.
It should have been sealed, and there is a question of why it wasn't, which is very curious. We're dealing with the CIA and the Air Force OSI. They know how to reverse engineer documents to make it look like they were never sealed. So the Inspector General is going to get to the bottom of this, and I'm confident charges will be filed. And Ken, the author of that, did acknowledge that he was guided by factions in the intelligence community that had an axe to grind with David Grush and others that are advancing disclosure. Why is that? Because they are helping protect the illegal crash retrieval program.
Trying to stop it. Right now, it looks like it's the Department of Defense versus the Congress.
Well, some in the Department of Defense, and you got people like Kirkpatrick out there with Arrow that are trying to pretend that they're following the new laws that Congress passed, mandating that they be forthcoming and transparent, and they're not. and they're supposed to be moved into the Undersecretary of Defense, and they haven't been moved out yet. You got the same players that disinformation with Elizondo, Susan Go, and her handlers that are handling Kirkpatrick that are controlling this narrative. And Kirkpatrick said he's going to follow the scientific method and peer review everything and get consensus before they acknowledge anything that's legitimate. Where in the hell are they going to peer review UFO technologies and such? It doesn't exist in the scientific community.
So
So
we don't
it's a
know about it.
or Congress and fool the American people. And frankly, he came out and lied to the American people by saying that there's no evidence. Yeah. He was the head of the UAP task, and he was given information by them that clearly indicated that there was a crash retrieval program that does not have oversight anymore. And that's the hot war that they're fighting against each other. He admitted in his interview that he submitted evidence to the proper authorities that the retrieval program has murdered people to keep this quiet. So yeah, the can is a lacking for these.
The question is why? Why are they trying to keep it quiet instead of?
Because they have reverse engineered technology, and they have physics that is not in our known inventory, that is so far probably beyond what we know that we have. Out there of stealth technologies, fiber optics, the transistor, all these things are reverse engineered tech. So
this just makes me think of the idea that we have a lot more than we're
aware of. 0 point energy.
Isn't that just free energy? Like it doesn't take any work to create it.
Well, it's unlimited renewable from the sun.
Unlimited renewable from the sun. Okay.
And they're able to tap into the quantum field. If you know how to tap into it adequately, a cupful would boil off all the oceans on the planet, according to Hal Puthoff.
Yeah, that wouldn't be. That's a problem.
That's scary technology. Imagine what we've already done with nuclear bombs. If we had that kind of technology accessible, if Joe Redneck came in his garage, he could destroy the planet theoretically. Do the powers that be want that in the human inventory that's out and pliable? No. We've had technologies and information pushed us through the ages.
Hang on, this is what's showing up on my feed.
It seems that this is being removed. Right.
Yeah, so it's been removed.
Well, it seems there are instances like John and Tesla who acknowledged that they were pushed information from wherever and made profound differences in humanity. Most of the technology and electronics and all that we're utilizing now was a result of a that built the software platform that everything is created upon, and Tesla created and the power sources. So yeah, I think that as much as they're able to push things into the collective consciousness, it seems that they're also able to stifle bits of it that will also. It would be only natural if they can add to, they can take from. So preventing scientists and such, if they do figure it out, all of a sudden, you can wind time back 15 seconds, and he gets brain fog, and he forgets it. They have that capability, according to slide 9, that the Stars Academy website.
I was actually just looking at something about Tom DeLonge.
Yeah, well, Christopher Mellon put the slide up. Yeah, with Stars Academy with Tom DeLonge. But that they have seen instances where people take basically possession, and they can walk into it, like say walk into a general's meeting at the Pentagon and make decisions and walk back out, and nobody is the wiser. They don't freaking know how much of a intrusion that they can be. That's why they have skip rooms that they hopefully are able to shield from some of this behavior, but they don't really know. So it's a very disconcerting situation, and it appears that there's both humans in our apparatus of the government that are for and against disclosure, but there's also non-humans that appear to be not for. Some are for and some are against it. We don't, we're like, again, we're in a proxy war. Where it's going to land and why there's this quickening to get humanity, that's what David Grush on the ontological shock of humanity. If they decide that this thing's on their terms rather than ours, that would be very shocking for most of humanity, if not 99%, and then some. So I think that they're trying to get this awareness out there for a reason, and it's being pressured for a reason they can't say because it's classified, which really grinds my gears. But we've got to be patient. And there are those that don't want us to know, that do want us to fail, and we've been here before as a species. This is reflected in the Old Testament, the Book of Enoch, the Sumerian tablets, and interestingly, the Sumerian tablets were not venerated where they found them, like in a library. They were in a trash heap in Sumer. So they rejected those tablets and such. And why is that? We don't know. But they were destroyed and buried and wiped their hands of them. That's not something that you're cherishing and relishing if they were still gods among humanity. Because you have these ziggurats like in Susa, in Iran, under the Persian Gulf now, well, some of it, these ziggurats that apparently gods dwelled in those in antiquity up to about 3200 BC, like I said before. Where'd they go? We don't know. But if you look at the manuscripts and stuff, there was a war between them and then a flood, and they got wiped off the planet, which is kind of consistent with what we see. You don't have to buy into the religious theology. Generically, there were many religions and myths and stuff that are telling the same tale. That we've had gods on Earth, they ruled humanity for a time. Some were benevolent, some not. And then they got their ass kicked. There was wars, and now all of a sudden, for the last 5,000 years, we think that we're alone, other than religious interactions. But then there's the pagans that show themselves in different societies. So we don't really know. I mean, I'm a man of faith. I believe there's a God that created all this. But if you believe that He's omnipotent, then He's able to create multiple worlds in multiple times. So this is not. The revelation that there are aliens and non-human intelligences that are mortal, which is capable of dying, doesn't negate religion, which some religious hardliners in the Pentagon and such seem to think it does, but it doesn't. You're to think that humanity is the only creation that an omnipotent God with unlimited powers could create. That's short-sighted. So there would be it is a little entire universe filled with life. You have a celestial gardener that would go around and creating, like in a zoo. You don't want to keep them separate from each other, so you put as much space between civilizations as you can. Each planet, is sufficiently far enough away that it takes a long time for them to evolve and start commingling.
If I may interject real quick, I'm not entirely sure if we've gotten to question 4. But
we have not.
I don't mind the show running for another half hour, but we do got to wrap it up by then because we do have a meeting at 5.
I'm going to call somebody back pretty quick.
Well, we didn't get to question 4 yet, but I do want to get to 4 and 5.
Okay,
So we'll spend like 10 minutes on each of these, or 15.
Alright.
So, after potential technological applications in reverse engineering, we get to invasion. So, is there an invasion happening on Earth? Are we being invaded?
Have we been invaded? Are we being controlled?
Yeah, if we've been invaded before, is this a cycle? Why? Why is it happening? Is it happening?
There is very solid evidence that goes back in the Vedics and such that there are 26,000-year precessional cycles that we go from a golden age, silver age, bronze age, and stone age, and this repeats. It seems that we are in the middle of halfway through a Yuga cycle of 25,920 years. We're almost right at the halfway point when there is a high probability for us getting an impact of some sort, because the evidence shows that every 3,000 years on average, Earth takes a direct hit that sets humanity near back to extinction in the Stone Age. It wipes out any technological advancements.
3 or 30?
Huh?
3,000 or 30,000?
3,000. The average
Does
that
anyone
goes back at least
else
200,000
know
years
about
ago
this?
with Milankovitch cycles that we, on average, every 3,000 years. This last 5,000-year run without an impact is an anomaly. I don't know if
Okay,
it's
so like
artificial or
we
not.
don't know what it is that's impacting us, but it seems like that's what. Are we talking
Well,
about the same thing
there
that
are
supposedly wiped out
there
the
are
dinosaurs?
celestial insults to where we go through a busy part of the solar system. Well, other solar systems. We're probably a binary star system, if truth be told, and we're fastly approaching a. It's like going, in these cycles, we go from, each 3,000 years, we go from a back highway where there's nothing and it's safe, pleasant country roads to getting on the expressway in New York all of a sudden. And when we go on these expressways, we're ripe for an impact. And I think that we're fast approaching another time frame of potential impact. But I've also heard rumors of a potential occupation coming, that whatever they are, them that are here already, that there may be some incoming that are not them from here. And what their intentions are, I haven't been able to find out yet. I don't think anybody
Well, their
knows that they're not
intentions
United,
might
according to
be.
us.
I don't think they sound like there's something positive, but that's just my personal opinion.
Well,
I'm not an expert
I
on
mean,
any of
they
this.
might be something positive. If what we have on Earth already is, they're trying to enslave us and they're trying to control us and manipulate us, that's not really a positive thing. What if this incoming thing is coming to like liberate us from our,
it could be. We don't know.
overlords?
But Ross
Like,
Coulthart said Schumer came out recently and all of a sudden jumped on the disclosure bandwagon because he knows that there's some frankly bad news coming.
Does
And I
anyone
don't know what
remember
that
the
is.
Jerusalem Post article about the Federation?
What's that?
Does anyone remember that article on the Jerusalem Post?
I was actually going to ask about that if Rob here knew
Yeah.
anything about the Federation, this supposed Federation that
Yeah, the
controls us or something.
Israeli chief. Well, I can't rule it out. From everything I'm learning, it appears that that's more probable than not. A saying I've had recently is it's more like Star Wars out there than the Waltons, is what we're finding.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're saying
Well, there's sufficient evidence to that. Mounting evidence.
I mean, if I can add something as well, not to start any form of political talk, but like when Biden took office, he removed everything Trump did except one thing, and that one thing is the Space Force.
Yep.
That's a little weird.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, what is so dang important about this that it is more significant than all the hell that both these sides are flinging at each other and we're all caught in the middle of it? Once again, not bringing politics into it, but that one thing, the Space Force. Why was it created? The fourth branch, the newest one since the Air Force was made, just after was it Second World War? Was the Air Force around in the Second World War? Was that still the USA?
They were under the Department of the Army.
Okay, I thought so.
Right, okay.
U.S. Army, Air Force, yeah. So then, because we had the Army, then the Navy, and then then the Air Force, and then now the Space Force. So, and it's just wild. Like, why is that still sticking around? Something's happening. Definitively, something's going on, and they wouldn't keep something like the Space Force just for something like Project Bluebeam. Like, there's bigger cards at play going on than that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that statement on the Space Force, though, with you, Xander. But I really do want to get to, like, the last question, and then we can talk a little bit about, anything else that's left over. But, like, skepticism. Why are there so many skeptics on this subject, and is it even really of any value to be a skeptic on this anymore?
Well, there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be somebody who just contradicts you just to be a contrarian, or because they think that they're right and you're wrong.
We have in
always going to
college
be that one guy.
Well, before 2017, when Lou Elizondo came out and gave authentication and facts into the discussion, you had people like Stephen Greer and others that had control of the narrative for so long. They've created an entire industry out of this. This is their living. They make money off of this. So they don't want change because the truth doesn't fit their narratives, and they don't like that.
It's about money. It's about money.
Some are motivated by money. are, like our factions within our intelligence community and such that are in this for the power. But companies that are partnered up with them, they're in this for money and power also. So we have a lot of things in play, many different agendas going on, and some of them are not our friends. They are not looking out for the good. They are contrary to that, and that's what many of us are pushing back on. Is we're rejecting that.
Maybe this is the whole cycle, is because humans want to keep they're greedy, and they want money, and they want to keep other people who don't know how to make money dead. I don't know. That sounds obviously about as, I don't know if that's plausible or not, but it sounds like it might be.
There's many current agendas running. Some
it sounds
are
like a conspiracy, to be honest.
Yeah, there are. There are probably numerous.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we have an example between ourselves, Noah, you and I. You're like 100% believing in all this, and I'm saying, like, it seems obvious that it's Project Bluebeam. Like, to a certain degree, I'm kind of being a skeptic of you, So, like, it's all, well, like, it's all on, like, personal stances and whatnot, to answer the question, like, why are there skeptics? To some degree, like, it's, you don't have to be a full-on naysayer. You can just think of something in a different way, different viewpoints, like, so, so that's the basis of skepticism, and it just grows from there.
Yeah, you want to have healthy skepticism, right. And it's encouraged. As long as it's civil, which what Ken did with his article is not civil. That's attacking whistleblowers and attempted intimidation and retribution and such. Completely disingenuous and evil, in my opinion.
It is. Like, I just don't understand why people act the way they do. Like, in any way.
I don't know. Well, nobody knows that.
Some people don't have conscience.
People...
Flat out. Some people just don't care.
Like, a lot of people out there just really gotta grow up, Like, a lot of people out there, like, they like, a good chunk of them, especially politicians, seem like they stop progressing mentally at the age of 5, Like,
that's a good one.
It is true. Like, you look at how, like, you're talking about people using bullying, intimidation, doing all that stuff. What are you, in the playground? You're shoving some kid's face into the sand.
I mean,
stop.
Yeah, you think that they're in a playground, except that they're willing to commit murder to express this because they have.
I mean, like, it's more serious, but it's the same basis of mentality. It's just like, oh, well, how dare you not be on my side? I'm going to kill you. It's like...
The funny thing is, a lot of the people like Avi Loeb, they say they have proof of aliens they exist. I'm looking at a video right now that I'm going to send in Michael's.
Avi's trying to say, "Oh, look, they're way out
like the Galileo project
from the ocean that they made. That we have evidence here that they're out there. I don't know what game he's playing. I thought he was authentic, but he's not.
Avi Loeb is saying he has proof of aliens right now.
Altruistic. Well, he's not buying into the narratives that Lou and David Grush and all them are advancing. He's completely blind to that. And one thing, the NASA saying that they're investigating this now to see if there's anything to the phenomena, they've prefaced this stating they're only using publicly available data. What the hell?
How are they doing it then?
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, they've got all these film footage from all these.
So they're just caching it, basically.
But we can't see what they have in their knowledge and database to call them on it. But fortunately, we have people that work in. When Kirkpatrick comes out saying we have no proof of it, they can call bullshit. And notice that Kirkpatrick was never put on to make these statements.
His microphone is cutting out.
Yeah, Rob, you keep cutting in and out, like you're moving the mic back and forth away from you.
Well, let's put Kirkpatrick on the chopping block, and put him under oath, and see if he still makes the same statements, because I don't think he will.
Yeah, I think there's definitely stigma, like people are trying to say they believe in something so they can either make money or a quick buck. I don't know.
Well, they're
Possible.
trying to control the narrative.
Yeah, they're trying to control the narrative. That's right.
You can go.
Hey Rob,
zoo
are you
with
next
clear
to a fan or
biopsy.
some sort of wind? Because
There's
your
a
audio
fan
keeps cutting in and out.
No, I'm at
Oh,
the
yeah,
go
there's
anyway.
audio in.
Oh, okay.
There's a fan on my end though.
No, well, you
I gotta
must
make a
fix it.
call. I've got somebody I can't.
Well, we're pretty much
I
about to
can't
wrap
go.
up anyway, so
We're
thank you
done.
very much for your time. I really appreciate the wisdom, the knowledge. If there's any links that you can possibly send me, please send me so I can put in the underbar anything pertaining
Yeah.
to the subject matters that we spoke about. So
Yeah, I'll get some links that we can throw.
Right,
That's
thank you.
pertinent
And,
to what we talked about. So follow up on the information where I got some of my information from.
Yeah, you
you're
could
still
supply
cutting in
some
and out,
links.
so we gotta try to troubleshoot your audio, try to fix it. And if
For
we're
next
still
time,
low
yeah.
for you, I was looking on my phone actually, and I figured it out. But anyway, Mr. Noah, if you don't mind, would you wrap us up?
Yeah, so, and everyone, that's a wrap. Today we've learned about the evidence of slow drip feed. We've learned about the ancient history and missing chapter of our history of our planet. We've learned about the potential technological applications of reverse engineered UFOs. We've talked about invasions, possible invasion that could have happened in the past or now, and we've covered skepticism. So, he's Xander. This is Soen below Rob here on my screen. That is Rob. We had
Rob, he's
Rob
already gone.
Rob was definite the entire time. But anyway, my name is Noah, and we'll see you next time on The Edge of Disclosure, episode 2.
Yeah. For that, I believe we're going to be doing that this upcoming Saturday at 3.
Turn it
And,
off.
like, that's going to be... We'll see. Pay attention to our various social media platforms. They are in the everything TOC. It's our link tree. Like, going to be keeping everything up to date on all of those forums and all that stuff. But yeah. So until you catch us next time, whenever that is, toodles.
I already